Joshua, what if this creek smelled? Would you want to play in it then?
No, probably not, Aaron, because if it smelled, it's probably polluted, and then it might hurt me, and then also it probably wouldn't have the beautiful creatures like the rainbow darters and the salamanders and other things that we caught, because they just can't live in polluted water.
Yeah, and I bet that these creatures that we found probably wouldn't like that water either. These are macroinvertebrates, and these little insects can be found on the underside of rocks. And what's really cool about them is that they have an incredible story to tell because they can help us test and understand how clean the water is. Just how you go to the doctor for checkups, we can also give our streams checkups to see how healthy they are, and the types of macroinvertebrates that we find, like what we have here, can actually help us determine that. Some macroinvertebrates need really clean water in order to survive, while others, like mosquitoes, can live in less clean water.
Well, Aaron, this reminds me of a really neat story that we like to share called the water story. Some of you might know it as the water cycle, and it all begins in the children's bedrooms all across the planet. Because when you wake up, you probably do something that a lot of other kids do. You wake up, you throw the covers off, you take that morning stretch, and then you get this funny feeling inside of you that you have to do something. It's okay, you can say it. Pee. Every human on the planet has to do it, and we go to the bathroom, we go to that special chair that's filled up with water, and then we kind of turn that yellow, and then we flush the toilet. But then where does it go from there? Most houses all across the planet are interconnected through this network of pipes. And so your pee goes and mixes with your neighbor's pee, and then the supermarket, and then the library, and the fire department, and your local school. Everybody's pee is coming together in this nice little slurry, and then it goes to your local water treatment plant where it gets kind of cleaned by nature, and then when it's clean enough, then it goes into your local river, and then your local river might take it to another river, and then another river, until eventually it'll end up in the ocean. And there's where cool stuff starts happening, because then a whale swims through your pee. A plant takes a little bit of it and it grows, but then a turtle comes by and eats the plant, then poops out your pee, until finally your pee is moving through thousands of plants and animals, until some of it reaches the surface of the ocean and meets the all-powerful ball in the sky we call the sun. And your pee rises into the air and turns into a puffy white thing called a cloud, and then the cloud blows over the United States until finally it comes right over you, and it gets dark, and then it rains, and then your pee falls from the sky, and it gives a drink to all of the plants and animals that we have all around. But then we have another network of pipes that soak it up from the ground, or maybe take it from the rivers, and then we clean it a little bit, and then we make it go back to your houses in water lines that go up to maybe your refrigerator or your water faucet or your drinking fountain at school. And that's where I filled this guy up. I'm just going to take a drink. Well, you know how many times this water has been through a human being already? It's hard to tell depending on where you're at, but probably about 5 to 7 times. We're all kind of drinking every animal's and every human's pee over and over again through this water cycle. But I know you're probably thinking that this is pretty gross, and I can understand that. But this is where it's really neat, because we're like brothers and sisters. We're connected to these plants. Water is going to come out of these plants and then eventually come into me one day. And then the water that comes out of me is going to go into these plants and to keep them healthy. So whatever I do to this creek water right here, who am I hurting? That's right. I'm hurting myself, and I'm hurting all of nature all around. So it's really important that we keep our water clean.